Assalamu alaikum.
May peace be upon you. Shall I sit or stand up? How are you all doing? Okay. Our session today, with God willing, will be a spontaneous session in which I will talk about myself, although I don't like to talk about myself much. I was very hesitant to come today, but it was good to have such a platform that shares success stories of young people, even if it is not a success story, but rather a story of perseverance and struggle. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful, may peace be upon you. I am Ghayah Alharmoodi, and today I would like to talk to you about my story. It is not a success story as much as it is a story of struggle, perseverance, and diligence. I mean, it is impossible not to feel this feeling again when they ask me, who are you? Are you Ghaya? I'm a member of Youth Council. I am the president of the Female Students Council. I am the head of department, or head of communication department, and so on and so forth. This is what made me strive to work on myself and develop in myself. I started all at once when I was interested in playing piano, and I won the first place. I was also interested in the field of media, and I participated in the journalism course and the television broadcasting course and the photography and shooting directing course, and I won the first place as well. And I also showed interest in writing novels and writing poetry, and I won the first place in winning and reciting eloquent poetry. This led to the release of my first edition novel, A Loop of Time. This may be dispersibility for you, but I did not feel that way because I love the things I do and I still have the energy to do it. And thank God I still have the passion, and I want to be creative in all fields, whether it is music, media, or diplomacy, and so on and so forth. No, it's okay. Thank you very much. After broadening my interests, I sort of fell back on what I call grandiose or elegant achievements. That is to say, achievements that are different from others. My journey began when the day that I met His Highness Sheikh Dr. Sultan Al-Qasmi at the Government Communication Forum, in which I participated with Mr. Ashibat, who was one of the first to cultivate in me a love for the media. Not only I did meet His Highness, but His Highness pointed out to me and said, "You, Ghaya, will become a leader one day." My joy that moment you cannot imagine, because it was the first time I meet one of the sheikhs, and I stood next to him and I talked to him, and he said to me, "You will become a leader." So I was extremely happy. So I will never forget that feeling of joy, and I'll never forget the happiness of my father and mother the day they saw me on the television when I was next to the sheikh. I'll never forget those words, because it may have been a simple event and simple words, but it had a greater impact on me. Following the words of His Highness Sheikh Sultan, I decided to start developing myself. So that was the day I could become a leader. And that was the time of the Think Science Festival. So I don't know if you know, but it's most importantly, it had the initiative such as the National Ambassadors Program. This initiative aims to have students that covers Ambassadors of Diplomacy section picked my interest. I applied, and I was not expecting that I shall be accepted, but thank God they chose me after I had a personal interview. Then the moment came. Usually people prepare the treatment before the shock, but I did the opposite. I was shocked and I prepared the treatment. What happened as soon as I told them is something very strange and took me aback, because they welcomed the matter with open arms, and on the contrary, they supported me and they said, "Ghaya, we are not going to be an obstacle. We will support you in every step you're thinking or you're taking." And that is a big part of my career. Without my family, my mom, my dad, brothers, aunties, friends and nannies, I wouldn't be able to continue, because their support has made me love doing the achievements, and I appreciate the taste of success much better. My 14 days in America, specifically in Harvard University, taught me the responsibility and honored my speaking skills in English, which I believe I had not mastered before. I met some girls and I'm still in touch with them. I learned from them each and every day, although each of us lives in another emirate and each of them studies in another university. The same year, I became more responsible. At the same year, before my novel, I remember that I had written a novel 2 years ago. It was in my laptop. I did not type it, print it, or so on and so forth. I had received a rejection from one of the publishing houses, so I almost gave up, and I thought that there is no point of trying again as long as the publishing house rejected my novel. But then again, I talked to myself, "Ghaya, are you okay? You have written a novel." So I didn't worry about the final exams. I did not review the lessons. I did not open my books. Instead, I kept proofreading this novel. Thank God I sent the novel to the mother publishing house, which is my cultural family. They welcomed me with open arms, and I approved my novel. Nowadays, I don't regard myself as a writer, but as the owner of a publication, and my novel is read in all Arab countries. Thank God my novel was the bestseller in the publishing house during the Sharjah Book Fair activities last year. Once I had proven myself in terms of skills and abilities, I decided to showcase myself and my efforts in the university. When life returned to normal, I started going to college and meeting new people and mingling with students. By showcasing my efforts, I don't mean handing out my resume everywhere and introducing myself to people. I mean showcasing my efforts throughout my work, my participation and presence. I decided to get involved in student council. And I remember one of the time in high school, there was an election for the female president council. Sorry. So I'm now I was nominated, but I did not win. And honestly, the one that won was more deserving for the prize than I was at that point. But I set that goal in my mind and told myself that I had to work to become the council president one day. The role came up at the University Student Council, and thank God I joined the council, and after that they elected me as the council president. the student council was one of the happiest moments in my life because firstly, it was a goal that I managed to achieve it. And secondly, the council gave me a lot under the supervision of Professor Mariam and the Dean of Students, Dr. Salama. On the other hand, I've met passionate, loving, hard-working students, and they realize that university life is not just about studying, but also about working and gaining experiences. Because the university student must prepare himself for the future through his participation and gaining experiences. The reason is that the university student must prepare for future by participating and gaining experiences. So I was coordinating with people to forward the concerns and how to overcome them. After that, I took the decision to nominate myself. Pardon, I don't need the card. Thank you very much. So I decided to nominate myself to the Ajman Youth Council. Just 1 minute. I want to order my thoughts. So I registered for the Youth Council in November, and I almost forgot about the subject, and I didn't know if my application was rejected or if there was a mistake when I registered, because nobody got back to me within 5 months, and I was 17 years old at the time, way too young, but I applied anyway. Finally, I have received the acceptance letter. Not the final, pardon, but the primordial, the first acceptance. So the first 12 people to be elected out of 300. In that period of time, I was infected with the coronavirus, and I spent 12 days out of the 14 scheduled for the quarantine, and they contacted me in the last 2 days, and they informed me that there is an interview that I have to attend. So I told them that I couldn't attend because I had COVID, knowing that there are other people who can replace me. So I got so annoyed and I started shouting at home. Thank God they told me at the same day that the interview was postponed to the next week. Thank God. If there is something that is meant to be for you, it will come to you. I got accepted after the personal interview, even though I was younger than the age requirement, but they waited until I turned 18 to announce the board. It made me feel that even though I was 18 years old, they chose me to be among the best in the Emirates, or in my own emirate, to represent the country in foremost and to be an active member and individual in our society. I actually felt like I had accomplished something and that I would accomplish more. Even if I felt I was proving myself to my family through this membership, and I felt like they knew that Ghaya works hard and has the desire to succeed, and that to achieve her ambitions with no limits. The council gave me a lot of insight and experience that I needed as a young person in terms of dealing with official authorities and dignitaries and formally organizing initiatives, in addition to the great opportunities they gave me, like meeting Minister Shama Al-Mazroui and getting to know her personally, or meeting with the President of the State, may God prolong his life, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, on the occasion of the Youth Day, and the opportunity of being part of all of this. I kept repeating the phrase, a dream come true, because I really do see that everything that has come true and everything that I have experienced was a dream for me, but I did not achieve it by mere coincidence. Rather, I worked hard and I overcame it. I've learned in my career that as long as the thing I'm doing does not contradict the tenets of my religion, my morals, or my principles, I respect people's opinions, but I don't pay much attention thereto. I have also learned to prove myself, especially to the people who laughed at me. I have learned not to depend on anyone, and not to think that one day when I grow up I will have to benefit from my needs. On the contrary, I always tell myself that I have to work and learn to the support of my own self through my name and the people who knew me. And also be always optimistic. If you are optimistic, you always attract that thing towards yourself. Today, I didn't tend to talk about this aspect, but I believe me, it really does exist. And it's the amount of people who don't want me the way I expected, especially in the beginning when I first appeared on the social media, and the amount of bullying, and from the people that are the closest people to me, and the amount of belittling. I said I won't give up. I could have stopped, but I didn't. I focused on myself, and thank God today I have reached a position that I desired. Now, I am today in front of you, Ghayah Alharmoodi, in front of you today, who whatever you told her 5 years ago that one day she will have a platform to express herself, she will not have believed you. Ghayah, who thanks to God, and then thanks to her family, her efforts and her persistence, her determination, the opportunities she had and the opportunities she seized, would not have reached the level where she is today. I thank you very much for your listening. Thank you once again. I will be very happy to answer any questions you want. Do you have any questions? 2003. Please. Thank you. Majoring in nuclear power engineering. Well, there is definitely a goal in my major, because in high school I didn't expect to study engineering. I even signed up for the general curriculum because I don't like math, physics and chemistry, because I know myself, I know I wouldn't choose the engineering major, but thank God I somehow finally chose that major. I want to do research and so on and so forth, so I want to delve more into this subject. So now that I got more in depth, you will hear more details about that soon, inshallah. I might be down from time to time, but not much, because as I said, I love what I do, because when you love what you do, you will necessarily love to spend your energy on it, and you tell yourself that you are not spending your energy on something that you don't benefit from, but rather the opposite. Even my mother used to tell me the same thing, and I asked myself, why do you tire yourself? Just study and focus on your studies. But on the contrary, I like to work and I like to be busy 24 hours a day. For example, today I have a goal that I must achieve, and tomorrow another goal, and so on and so forth. I like to be busy 24 hours. If, for example, I do my homework and sit in front of the TV series, I don't like that. I feel that this feeling has developed in me since I was a child, which means that I don't like to be on idle. Maybe 14 or 15 years when I started in these areas, and thank God it doesn't affect my studies or my relationships with people. So I don't want to stop, but on the contrary, I want to continue and develop myself better than wasting my time on other things. Really? I didn't know. 4 years. I hope that she can see me so that she prepares a good coffee for me later on. My sister allowed her. For me, I can't describe her. I don't know if you have the impression that although we are surrounded since childhood by many friends, that everyone knows you and so on, but the sister cannot be replaced by anyone. It is the same now. I feel like I have a lot of friends, but my only friend is really my sister, Alauda, and my mother. She's like my sister and my mother. To me, she is a light in a brightness. It's the opposite. A light in the darkness. Her presence made life for me easier. Everything was easier, and everything made sense. No matter how much I tried to describe her, I would not be able to describe her the way she really deserves to be described.